Hello YouTube, Canadian Edge here, and we are going to do a knife review today. We have on the table the Gerber Highbrow. And one of the main reasons I picked up the Gerber Highbrow was I noticed they have the pivot lock on here, or crossbar lock, which a lot of us know it by. But Gerber calls it the pivot lock, so I wanted to see just what Gerber offered with the pivot lock. So this is the Highbrow. It has a blade length of 3.25 inches. Open, it is 7.875 inches. Closed, it is 4.6 inches. It has a steel of 7CR17 MOV with a drop point blade. And the weight on this, it is 4.9 ounces. So it's got some beef to it. A little heavier design to it. The handle on this, it is an aluminum handle. And they've got the two different colors, gives it a bolster kind of look with the black and then a grayish on the back here. Sorry, get that under the net or under the camera so you can see. And it does have a reversible tip up pocket clip. And so lefties, you can use this. It is an ambidextrous knife. You flip it over. It is not a deep carry, so that part sticks up finger width, at least my finger width, above the pocket clip. It is a flipper assisted opening knife, and so it snaps open pretty good. And it does have on here something unusual, a pivot lock, which I will talk a little bit more in a few minutes. So that just locks it so you can't open it in your pocket or open it without, or outside of your pocket even. So just a little locking system there that they put on. It also has a lanyard hole at the back. For those that like lanyards, you can throw that on there. And it, yeah, I mentioned the pivot lock. Oh, and sorry, I was going to mention, it does have kind of a decorative spacer there at the back, which I kind of like. So, and, excuse me, it does have slight side to side, very slight side to side, but nothing up and down. And the blade is, for the most part, centered. Sorry, I got really bad lighting in here today. It's kind of a gray day outside, and my lighting isn't as good as it should be in here. So yes, it is somewhat centered. So let's take a look at size comparisons. So it is a little bit bigger knife. I have the Ontario Rat 2, which you can see is smaller. And I have the Benchmade Bug Out, which again is slightly smaller. And then moving into the bigger knives, what do we have? We have Civivi Cogent, which is pretty close to the same size. And also the Sencut Saxi, which again is very close. The Highbrow has a little bit of length on those, but not a whole lot. So it is a little bit bigger knife. And in the 7CR, it's an easy steel to sharpen. Won't hold the edge as long as some of the fancier steels, but you know what? It has a pretty decent edge on it. And I've found Gerber generally, any Gerber knives that I have, they tend to have a pretty decent edge on them. And we are going to try my favorite, the zip tie. I do not like zip ties on things unless it's things I'm trying to hold, but it cuts through that pretty easy. And we've got some, I won't say paracord, it's supposed to be like paracord, but cuts through that pretty easy. And also just some nylon twine, and it cuts that quite easily. So it does have a pretty decent edge on it. Now, I have to be honest, I like Gerber knives. I own a few Gerber knives, have them in my collection. The Gerber Remix I carried for a long time, really like it. It's a good workhorse of a knife. It performs well. But I have to be honest, this knife here did not impress me. Nothing about this knife really made me all that happy. When I first got it, and I don't know if you can still see, there is a finish on the blade which is really not sticky, but it's gritty. And so it doesn't do necessarily like super clean cuts if you were to look. And not a fan of this thing here. Well, let's talk about the things that I do like. Okay, I do like the look of the handle. I think the black and the gray is a nice look. The ergonomics on it, they're okay. Not fantastic, but okay. They work, but it just doesn't have that comfortable feel to it. It opens well. The assist open, it works well, and no problems there. The pivot lock or crossbar lock, it seems to be a good solid lock on there, and so that doesn't seem to be a problem. Seems to work well that way. The things that I don't really care about, the handle, it is slippery. Even when you're just handling it, it feels slippery. I'm not a fan of assisted opening. I do have a couple knives that I do like that are assisted opening, but for the most part, I prefer manual opening knives. Just my preference. Those of you who like assisted knives, please don't get upset with me. I prefer manual opening. The lock on the back, this thing, I don't know if we can see it, but like this thing seems as cheap as can be. It is really flimsy. When you feel it under your finger here, it feels like it's gonna break under your finger. And so far it's held up, but it feels really cheap. It's difficult to put it in and remove from the pocket. The pocket clip is really stiff, which, okay, I don't mind, but it does make it hard to put it in your pocket, especially if your pocket has a bit of a lip to it or a little thickness. And then pulling it out, I'm always grabbing it this way to pull it out, and it doesn't pull out very well. So yeah, not a big fan of that either. In the pocket, it doesn't work well for me. Although it's thin in the pocket, and it's heavy too. Like it's almost 5 ounces, this thing. So it's a heavier knife. But yeah, in all honesty, this is probably the most disappointing Gerber knife that I've dealt with, and I've had one Gerber that didn't open properly, but I still like that knife better than this one. This one feels like, you know, when you go into like some of the gas stations and dollar stores and stuff like that. Well, not the dollar stores, but you know, you can buy those $10 and $12 knives that they'll last you for about a month and that. This has a feel like that. It does not feel like Gerber quality to me. I'm quite disappointed because the other Gerbers that I have, they feel like knives I could just take out and beat up in the bush and know that, you know, they're gonna survive and do the job that I need them to do. This one, it just, I don't know. It feels like if I took it out and used it really hard for a weekend camping and that it would come back and go in the garbage or something. Like it just doesn't have that Gerber quality feel to it. Sorry for anybody who owns this knife and, you know, it's the knife that they love and carry all the time. Good on you. It would be a knife that I throw in my toolbox, and if it got damaged, I wouldn't lose that much sleep over it. And granted, it is like a $35 knife or something here in Canada, but I'm disappointed with Gerber on this one. Sorry, Gerber, but I've seen you make better quality knives, and I have better quality knives, better feeling quality knives anyway than this one. So yeah, I have to give this one a low rating. This will not make it into my rotation. In fact, it'll be a knife that I either give away or end up selling. So yeah, it'll work. It'll definitely work. And because it's a Gerber, I'm going to say it has a longer life expectancy than what I'm probably giving it. But it doesn't feel like the Gerber that I like. So that is the Gerber Highbrow. And again, for you guys who like this knife, great. I hope you get fantastic use out of it. It's just not a knife for me. It won't stay in my collection very long. That's just my choice and that. But Gerber Highbrow, check them out if you want. If you're looking for an inexpensive knife, like I say, it is Gerber, so I have a feeling it'll last longer than what I'm giving it credit for. But yeah, check it out for yourself and see what you think of it. So Gerber Highbrow, you can find those any place that sells Gerber, I'm pretty sure, or they're not hard to find, and they are inexpensive. So check them out if that's a knife that you think would work for you. I will be doing another reviews coming up here, a couple unboxings coming up, and so hit the like, hit the comment button, leave me a comment, hit subscribe, and we'll do this all over again. But until then, you stay safe and stay sharp.